Welcome everybody to the Social Dig, the greatest underrated show on the World Wide Web. I am your host, Mr. Rob G. And as always, we're going to be digging into the topics to keep you talking and the talk that keeps you thinking. So come on in, kick your feet up, get an ice cold beverage, and get ready to join the conversation. You know how we get down over here at the Social Dig. We have those deep conversations. You know, we have deep conversations on After Hours, as we did tonight. We had a great show over there. We had Victor on the show. He was totally awesome. And, I think we resonated. We had a really great conversation. He had a lot of great views, and I agree with a lot of them. I really do. As far as how we should be approaching disclosure, how the history of ufology and what we should be connected to that history. We should definitely be connected to the history. And that's what we do here at the Social Dig. So we have a segment that we do here called Once Upon a Time in Ufology, like I stated on After Hours. And that segment is solely designed to pick some historic point of ufology and kind of bring it up for someone who just may be coming into this for the first time. Because you can't assume that the new people know everything. You know what I mean? A lot of us that have researched and done our background work on this, we know a lot of the history, if not all of it. But the brand new ones, they come in, they have no idea about Betty and Barney Hill and, some of these historic cases. So it's always good to stay connected to that history. And that's what we're gonna do. History is part of us moving forward and setting our path for the future. It all links up. The entire story matters. So I want to thank people for coming in here. I want to thank Crystal J. Thanks for coming on in. Area 51. Thanks for coming on in and joining us. Welcome to the show. Major League. Thanks for coming in. Deb from Sacramento. Thanks for coming on in. Let's see. JSCO77. Thanks for coming in. Race fan. Haha, where's your wrench? That's right. Be handing out wrenches soon here. As soon as this thing grows a little bit, I'll be definitely doing that. Let me see here. And all my day ones for sure are gonna have those. That's a fact. Let's see. Lex Diaz, thanks for coming on in. Joe Monk, thanks for coming on in. Van Gold, appreciate you coming in. Wes H, thanks for coming in. So, yes, we get down to Social Dig. So, this is really a place for you guys. This is a place for experiencers to get on stage, talk about your experiences. I can talk, and I will talk if need be. But I would love to hear stories from you guys. There was some, I really liked how Victor approached the subject today. Like I just stated a minute ago, the history of this is so important to the future and where we're going. You gotta understand the past to understand where we're going in this. And, I think it can get lost in the current day conversation because specifically you have the governments, you have NASA, you have a lot of these news outlets that don't want to, they say it's a bad idea to include the history. They say we should only focus on the newer things and, and that's what the focus should be. And okay, maybe for analysis. Only way I can understand that statement is if we're talking about analyzing data, because obviously Roswell data, unless you go to where they're holding these craft, you're not going to be able to have the witnesses or to speak to, or the actual physical evidence. So in that manner, I do understand why some of the focus is only on the newer stuff. But just like I said before on the other show, history tells the story. So you're able to take historical facts and then put those up against things that currently happen today in order to validate some of the things that happen today. You know what I mean? And everything matters. That's why it's important for any sighting or everyone's sighting to be validated and recognized, because it's all part of the big story. It's all part of the big picture. And a story you may tell tonight ends up being something that resonated with someone else, and until they heard you say that, they weren't going to tell their story. But because you said something that aligned with something that they thought or they saw, then now they're free to speak about theirs. And then it's like a domino effect. It's like a chain effect. Everyone speaks about what, experiences they've had. And we have just a wonderful mixture of everyone telling the story, which I think is an awesome thing. I think it's needed. It's a must. It's therapeutic on top of all that. And it's definitely something that you should consider doing. There are a lot of people here now that had reservations about coming up and telling a story. They had never told a story. We heard in a few cases where people who got up on stage said they had never told the story, and it was awesome that they chose to do it here as their first place, and they inspired other people to do the exact same thing. So what I'm doing right now, I'm making sure the phone lines are set up. So if you want to just call the number is in the chat. And actually, let me bring that up here on the screen for anyone that may consider doing this. Let me pick this here. Okay. Let's use this one here. All right. And the number is, as you see here, 856-843-3444 or 856-THE-DIGG. Because this is not just a call-in line. This is a 24-hour line. You can call any time of the day, any time of the night. You can leave a message talking about a sighting that you had. The message length is 3 minutes, as long as you're not using vulgarity, not getting into religion or politics too heavy. Then yeah, you're free to say anything you want to say. It could be your experience. It could be, hey, Rob, I want to see you try to do this. Suggestions. It could be just to say hello, because that's always cool to do that. Just say hi. Yeah, the number is open all the time, so you could program that into your phone, actually. If you have a phone, go ahead and save that number, and then you may just, you may be out and about somewhere and say, hey, I had this on my mind, something I remembered or thought of, and I want to go ahead and call it in. We were doing this on the After Hours show, and I'm going to bring it back because what this needed to do was grow a little bit first, and we're still not to the point to where we have enough people that are talking experiences in order to make it a thing again. But I do want to bring the viewer's voice back to the After Hours at some point. So we have to start getting those messages kicked back up. And, when we started it, we had a good first show with it. We had like good 4 or 5 good solid messages. Then it kind of died off after that. So I wanted to make sure that everybody has, a place where they can talk about their experiences. So let me set this up here for the calls, and it'll be just a minute here. Let me see. Make sure the option to do so has not been my do not disturb. Okay, good. We're good there. Let me check here. Okay, yeah, we're good. So phone lines are open. Call in if you feel the need to, but I think we have someone in the back that's going to get this party started. No. Definitely doing these more. So, no. What I was saying, Christine, is we were doing because I'm doing these, which we're gonna still do. These I took yesterday off because I just needed some rest. But these are still gonna happen on Saturdays and Sundays. These call-ins here at Social Dig. What I was saying was prior we were doing a segment that I set up on After Hours, like the first few episodes that I started over there. I did this thing called Viewer's Voice because we can't do live calls at After Hours. But so my idea was to take the recordings, so have you leave a message on the recorder, and then I would take those messages because those could be screened, and then play them during After Hours, like for the last 30 minutes in a segment. And we're going to bring that back to After Hours once we can start getting traffic through the number, more traffic. But these here will continue because we can't do these at the After Hours because obviously there's liabilities. This is live. Technically, someone could come up here and say something off the charts, and we don't want to have that resting on Spaced Out Radio. So I'm open to taking that risk, but I trust you guys, and I trust that things will stay civilized. So I'm taking those risks over here, but it's really for you because I want to hear your voice and your conversation, your experiences. So that's the short of it. But yeah, no, we're gonna definitely continue doing these, Christine. This is the therapy, and I think this is definitely what's needed. So we're gonna definitely keep doing these. Thanks for coming in, Lost Souls Trilogy. Thanks for coming in, Lavera Lucchini. And okay, I think we're caught up. So let me go ahead and bring in our first guest of the night. Yeah, definitely. First guest of the night, which is none other than Deb from Sacramento. Hello, Deb. How are you tonight?
Hello, Rob G and Chad. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic. What's going
Super
on? What's
good.
been going on with you? Good to hear from you. It's been a while. How have you
Yeah.
been?
Unfortunately, I've been taking care of my mom. She had COVID and was in the hospital, but she's better,
Uh,
is just tested negative, and we're just getting things ready to bring her home, hopefully in time for Christmas. So that's
that's
why I
lovely.
haven't been around much. I've been dealing with that and taking care of her pretty much 24/7.
Being a
Yeah.
wonderful daughter.
Oh, well, yeah, I try. I have my
Yeah.
moments. She might not agree with that all the time, but I try. But I can't stand very long because my iPad's going to die soon. But I thought
Okay.
kind of to start off the evening, I just wanted to share a really funny, what I consider funny Christmas memory.
Yeah.
And I got the idea because, everyone watches, Christmas Vacation when it comes on at Christmas time and A Christmas Story. But Christmas Vacation is my favorite with Chevy Chase. That's
Yes.
So I was watching that the other night with my mom, and I'm just laughing so hard, and it reminded me of all these horrible things that happen at Christmas time. And in my case, my story is about a wardrobe malfunction. And for like 20 years, I did the Christmas musical every year with my church. And one of
Okay.
the first years that we did it, we were in downtown San Jose at the Civic Auditorium. And there was about 60 of us in the choir. And it was the night of our dress rehearsal. And I just brought home my dress, and they were all custom made and sewn and everything. And the day before I brought it home, I had taken in this stray cat. And he was pure white with these beautiful blue piercing eyes. So I named him Newman Blue. And I noticed a couple of places in the house, all of a sudden I noticed, like he was spraying, and I was trying to catch him. You know how male cats sometimes spray, and I
Mhm.
couldn't catch him doing it. So I couldn't, get him and punish him. And then the day I brought my dress home, I was in the kitchen and I caught him. He was spraying in the corner, like on the wall. And I grabbed him. I'm like, you damn cat. And I spanked him. I didn't spank him hard, but I startled him. And then I screamed at him, and he took off out the front door. And then I didn't see him again. Well, a couple hours before I had to get my wardrobe together and, go downtown for our dress rehearsal. I went to my closet and I noticed my dress was on the floor. I'm like, how did that fall on the floor? I pick it up, and the cat's last great act, he went into my closet and he sprayed all down the front of my Christmas dress, my performance dress, my
Really?
long formal. And and clawed it. And so I picked it up, and it was obvious. This was a dark burgundy color. And so the stain was very obvious. There was no way you could get the stain out. And I was
Oh
just
my
panicked.
God.
I didn't know what to do. And so I called the lady that made my dress and I ran it over there. And she said, yeah, there's no way we can replace the panel or do anything. She says, all we can do is try to get the odor out. And we managed to do that. She says, and because of the neckline, it was like a scoop. She said, you can wear it backwards and no one will see it, at the front of your dress. So we were getting ready downtown, and I've got my dress on backwards, and just a certain group of my friends knew what happened. I told them, and then once you tell them, they're all laughing, and I was so embarrassed. So I'm up there trying to not be self-conscious, and they're coming up, behind me, whispering in my ear, going, "I smell cat pee." Or
Oh
one
my
person came up
God.
and they go, "Man, these stage lights really bring out the color, the discoloring in the back of your dress."
Oh my God.
So they're just saying everything they can, and I'm just mortified. And they're doing it right before I have to get up and sing a solo, right? So I'm trying to stay composed, and I'm just dying of embarrassment. And I managed to get through the dress rehearsal that night. Well, fortunately, one of my friends, she ended up dropping out, so I was able to use her dress for the rest of the musical. But but that's my wardrobe malfunction story. And
That
looking
is
back, it's
hilarious.
hilarious, but at the time, it was not funny, and I just about died of embarrassment.
No, for the cat's
So,
last act, that was wow. That's classic.
but I still take in stray cats.
Well, you got a great heart. That's why you're a very lovely person.
So I hope that sets the theme for some fun stories or whatever people want to talk about.
It
But I'm going to
does.
pop
It
out because my
does.
iPad's going to die, and I'm going to sign back in with my phone so I can follow you guys and chat.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. You got it kicked off. We appreciate you, Deb.
Okay. Thanks for taking my call, Rob. Take
Yep. Take
care.
care.
Okay. Bye bye.
Guys, the cat peed on the dress. What do you do? What do you do? He's long gone. He's long gone. You got to show up to the event. You have to do your solo. You have to stand up in front of everyone, and yeah, that's a tough one right there, man. I don't know. I don't know if I could do that, but that is definitely funny. Paramar says that's why he doesn't wear dresses. Yeah, I can agree with you, Paramar. That would be a true statement. That's why I don't wear dresses. Yeah, so I don't know. What do you do with that? Oh, this is a funny one. This is a funny one. Christine said that was a catastrophe. Oh my God, Christine. Do you stand up? Where do you do stand up at? Where do you do stand up? That was hilarious. Yeah. So wow. Let me think of a Christmas story. Anything that happened during Christmas? Nothing funny. Nothing funny. I don't know. Hmm. Nothing funny. No, I mean that how can you top that story anyways if you have one? I don't know that you can. I really don't. I don't know that you can top that. But that was great to get it started. Like I really do appreciate Deb stepping on stage. I don't know, man. I had some stuff here. Let me go ahead and let me thumb through this. I just want to see. Let me remove this actually. I want to see if I have anything we can use here. Okay. I don't think I showed that. Let me bring something else up here. Really hate these clicky Apple mouse, Apple mice, mouses, mice and mouses what do you call these? If there's, it's not a plural. I guess it's a mouse. All right, let's look at this. I had listed, done a show on some of the top secret. It was, I think it was the top secret government was the show, and let me just add this to the stage. So we kind of looked over some of the facilities that the government considers as top secret, and kind of looking at the fact that this is taxpayer money. They keep these secrets from us, which I think is pretty wild when you think about it, right? When they take our money, they take our tax dollars, and they use it to create things that they won't tell us about. Like what? How does that really work, right? How does that work? So let me go ahead and jump into some of these. So the Dugway Proving Ground. This is in Utah. They consider this to be area. There's different things they say now. Area 52 could be these different places, but for a while they were calling this place Area 52, the Dugway Proving Ground, which is classified. We have the Yuma Proving Ground, which is also classified. These are places potentially they could be doing some of this work on these. These are okay. We have the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. So this is where they what is it called? The continuity of government. If the mess hits the fan, then the government and all them guys, they go here to this mountain complex. They close these big heavy doors and they lock us out. We don't get to come in, right? But we bought this. We paid for this. This was one of the points I made when we were doing this show. We paid for this facility, but we don't get to come in doomsday. What do you think about that? Isn't that crazy? That's pretty crazy to think about. If everything went to hell, the government, right, would be safe and sound, tucked away in places that we paid for, but we would be left out here to deal with the consequences. They wouldn't have anywhere for us to go. Crazy, crazy thought, right? To think about that. And then it's classified on top of all that. They don't even want you to know it's there. They don't even want you to know these places exist because they don't want you knocking on the door in the event that something goes down. So this was a good show, Top Secret Government. You guys should go back and watch this one. This is pretty one of those heavy ones where it was like, whoa, okay. The government's doing what? Yeah, we covered a lot of good stuff on here. Maybe I'll end up playing it here. Menwith Hill Station. Actually, I think that might, because I think this one was pretty good. Let me see. Oh yeah, okay. We got into programs. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna bring this one up because this was an actual really good show, and I don't want to play the whole thing, but I want to get you guys to at least. 'Cause I did some research on this, and it's pretty shocking what you'll see at the end here. So let me bring this up here. Let's see, top secret government. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let me go ahead and share this. This is a segment we did. The slide that I'm showing you here. We did the original show was about the top secret government, and we kind of go over like some of the thought processes behind, the things that they keep secret, that versus us paying for these things, and then we get into some really troubling things too. That as far as it's like the government's perception of humanity and how how they really look at us, and the things that they would leave us susceptible to. You know what I mean? So it kind of covers some of that. So I want to play that real quick. It runs for a few minutes, and then we can discuss it right afterwards. Here, let me get this up here. So you're gonna see me because I'm presenting it, but this was episode 43 in the catalog. So let me bring that up here real quick. Okay. All right. I'm going to play this. The segment where we talk about the top secret government stuff I'm showing you now. So let's go ahead and take a look. Aren't just doing it to be like self-serving. So I'm going to be optimistic and hope, but we can only do our part, and this is part of what we're doing here. So with that being said, we're going to get into top secret government, right? So top secret, classified, everything's classified. Everything's classified. And we're going to go down a list of things because, like I said, we have skeptics out there that Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these guys that say there's no way the government they can't hold water. They would never be able to hold a secret like this. This is too big. Something would come out. Well, I'm going to give you some examples. We're going to look at where it took time for certain things to be uncovered and be declassified. And when you really, one by one, incident by incident, you don't really think about it. But when you paint the picture of how often or what type of things governments around the world have been involved in, and you look at it on one plate, you put everything on your plate, then it really, the niceties and the government that claims that we're all free and we're transparent. I mean, I think by the end of this, well, you can make up your mind on it. So we're going to go ahead and get started with facilities. So we broke this down into a few different categories. So we're going to look at facilities. So we have top secret facilities, obviously all over the globe, in places that the government, if not for some sort of whistleblower or some sort of investigative journalist, these things would not have ever even come to light. And with that being said, we're going to start off with what they call it's been called Area 52, right? So it's a Dugway Proving Ground. This is a place where they test artillery, and it's a artillery field. However, there's speculation that some of the activities that had been reported at Area 51 have actually moved over here in Dugway Proving Grounds, I believe, is in Utah. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this. Now, Dugway Proving Ground was established during World War II. Dugway Proving Ground was created to provide an isolated testing site for chemical and biological weapons. Its vast expanse spanning over 800,000 acres made it an ideal location for controlled experiments. Dugway specializes in testing chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense systems. Its facilities are equipped to assess the effectiveness of protective equipment, detection technologies, and decontamination protocols. Now, Dugway's primary mission is documented, but there have been persistent rumors suggesting that there's the existence of undisclosed programs. Now, those speculations revolve around the testing of advanced or classified technologies. So essentially, what we found Area 51 to be doing, essentially almost the same thing, but Dugway Proving Ground still hasn't technically been outed for what they are doing outside of it being a testing range. But this is going to be, and you'll end up seeing here, this is going to be one of many facilities that potentially have covert things going on, that we are unaware of. So, Dugway Proving Grounds, potentially currently a top secret, facility doing things don't that we don't know about. So, going into the next one, and I didn't know about this one actually. This site is the Yuma Proving Grounds, and I've never heard of the Yuma Proving Grounds. However, with the Yuma Proving Grounds, apparently it was established in World War II, and the Yuma Proving Grounds were created to serve as a comprehensive testing site once again for artillery, munitions, vehicles, aircraft, and other military equipment. The Yuma Proving Ground is known for its extensive testing ranges that encompass over 1,300 square miles of desert terrain. It is a critical site for evaluating the performance, safety, and reliability of various military platforms. Now, similar to Dugway, Yuma Proving Ground has also been the subject of speculation regarding the existence of undisclosed programs. These speculations often involve advanced aerospace technologies, classified weaponry, or experimental military platforms. We're just going to jump into the next facility here, which is going to be obviously the one everybody knows about, Cheyenne Mountain Complex. That's out in Colorado. So the Cheyenne Mountain Complex was built in the 1960s and is a fortified underground facility located in Colorado. It serves as the command center for the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, and the U.S. Northern Command, or U.S. NORTHCOM. The complex is designed to withstand nuclear attack and houses critical defense systems. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex, publicly acknowledged as a military facility, gained prominence in popular culture due to its depiction in movies and television shows. Its role as a center for NORAD and early warning systems has been known since its inception. Next one, and I hadn't heard about this one, but this is the Menwith Hill Station. So, Menwith Hill Station is a U.S. listening station located in the United Kingdom. It's operated by the National Security Agency, or NSA, and is known for its large radomes that cover satellite communication dishes. The facility is involved in global signal intelligence operations. Menwith Hill Station has been known to the public for decades due to its distinctive appearance. However, specific details about its intelligence gathering operations were confirmed through investigative journalism in the late 1970s and 80s. So yeah, I mean, if you saw that, obviously you think something was going on. But with that being said, these are dotted all over the globe, right? So and we have no need to know of what's actually going on there. It takes things just like I said there, like investigative journalism. So you have to have someone either looking into it. Obviously, somebody was willing to speak about, uh, the things that were going on at this particular facility. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we have as well one that I know, Maggie M10. She's out there in Australia. So this is Pine Gap. I think she said it's a few hours away from where she's at. But Pine Gap, Australia, is actually a U.S. base that's located in Australia. And the Pine Gap is a joint U.S. Australian defense facility located near Alice Springs, Australia. And it's operated by both the NSA and the Australian Signals Directorate, or ASD. And the Pine Gap is involved in signals intelligence, missile launch detection, and satellite tracking. Pine Gap, known since its establishment in the late 1960s, gained public attention due to its strategic importance and global intelligence operations. Its exact functions were revealed through investigative reporting, once again, and satellite imagery analysis. Now, this just shows that obviously this isn't within the United States government. This is actually the Russia's equivalent of one of the sites that we actually looked at here, and it's a two-part thing because the mountain that you see over to the right, the mountain area, which is called the Yamantu Mountain, and then the city that you see right there to the left. So these are going to be two separate things. However, they support each other essentially. So with the Yamantau Mountain is actually a Russian underground nuclear bunker complex located in the Ural Mountains. It is rumored to be one of the most secure and secretive military facilities in Russia with extensive underground tunnels and chambers. Now, reports about Yamantau Mountain began circulating in the 1990s with claims about its size and capabilities. However, specific details about its functions and status remain subject to speculation. And then this is Mesgori, which is the town that I just showed you to the left. Now, Mesgori is actually a Russian secret facility located in the southern Urals. It's rumored to be a closed military town and is believed to house significant military infrastructure. So, this little town here is actually a private city. It's not on any of the Russian maps. You cannot get there by road, according to what I looked at when I was looking into this. So this is just a closed off military town, totally private. It didn't state what the population was, but it supports the facility that's supposedly in that mountain there. So, these things are dotted all over the globe, right? So, how many undisclosed top secret facilities would do you think are actually yet to be uncovered? These are obviously only the ones that we know about, and that's not even all of them. I actually left a lot of them off the list because we have different. There's different sections that we're actually about to go through, but yeah, I left a lot of them off the list, and these are the ones that we know about. So, what do you think about the ones that we don't know about? So, when we go back to the governments, they can't keep secrets from us, they can't hold water. These dudes live for secrets. They live for secrets. Yeah, Terry Hall, hey, thanks for coming through. Dugway is in Utah for sure. Mackie M10, hey, oh, and there we go. She said, okay, it's a 26-hour drive to Pine Gap from where you are. Okay. All right, Long Island Bigfoot, thanks for coming through. And there's multiple on Long Island and the surrounding islands, exactly. And that's the thing. So these, once again, this is just facilities, and we're talking about the ability to keep secrets from the public, just facilities. So we're going to get actually into closeout facilities. We're going to actually get into top secret programs. So a huge load of facilities. Now we're going to get into some of the programs that at one point we didn't know about. Some of them have been outed. But then by the end of this, we're gonna paint the picture of how secretive these governments can actually be. So with that being said, we're gonna jump into programs, and one of the most famous top secret programs, probably number two on the list under extraterrestrials, obviously, and crash retrievals, is gonna be none other than what? The Manhattan Project. They did this right under our noses, right? So, the Manhattan Project was a U.S. government research and development program during World War II aimed at producing the first nuclear weapons. It involved top scientists, engineers, and military personnel. The program remained highly classified until after the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August of 1945. In 1946, the project was officially declassified and the details were made public. So, Manhattan Project ran top secret from 1942 to 1946. So, and obviously, they probably could have obviously kept the secret longer if they hadn't dropped the bomb. That's essentially why the cover got blue on this. But, once again, next to extraterrestrials, crash retrievals, this is probably one of the biggest secret programs that you could think of. And actually, during that whole 4 year period, nobody had a freaking clue what they were doing. So are they? We know that they haven't admitted the extraterrestrial crash retrieval. Grush has said that this is a fact, but it just goes. This is going to show the skeptics that yeah, you can keep secrets, and until they're ready to let you know, you probably won't know on a lot of these things unless we have people that come out and speak on them. Now the next program, top secret. It was top secret. Went on right under everyone's nose. This one is gonna be MK Ultra, right? Everybody knows about MK Ultra now, but you didn't know then. So MK Ultra ran from 1953 to 1973, so 20 years before it ended up being uncovered. So MK Ultra was a CIA program that aimed to explore the potential of mind control and behavior modification through the use of drugs, psychological manipulation, and other methods. Now, in 1973, the program's existence was first revealed during congressional investigations into CIA activities. Sound familiar, right? Same sounds like what we're doing. Documents related to MK Ultra were discovered, and the program's details were brought to light. And not only was it a secret program, obviously they were putting people at they were just experimenting on people, which is kind of ridiculous, right? When you think about it. So it just shows not only that they could hold that secret for 20 years, but they could also subject their people, the people that they supposedly care about and support. This happened in America, obviously, so I'm going to speak on behalf of America. So when we sit today and we go to them and we say, hey, do you guys have UFOs or crash retrievals or biological bodies? And they're like, no, we don't have anything. We would tell you the truth. Then you point back to something like MK Ultra and you say, nah, man, we're not going to stand for that. And we're not even close to being done. But just what we've already looked at is enough to tip the table as far as the good boy image that our country likes to portray. Yeah. So we're gonna get into a few more, and we're gonna get into some that are actually more troubling than this. So, with that being said, the next project, top secret, we didn't know, Stargate Project. So the Stargate Project, this one ran from 1978 to 1995. And the Stargate Project was a U.S. government program that focused on remote viewing and psychic phenomena for intelligence gathering purposes. It involved experiments in extrasensory perception, or ESP, and clairvoyance. The program was declassified in 1995. It initially came to public attention through a series of investigative reports, including a 1995 story in the Washington Times. There's a theme here. Most of the ones that did come to light came through investigative reporting. But the problem is today, a lot of the journalists that we have currently aren't like journalists of old that would get on the story and dig into the story until they got some results. We only have a couple that seem to be pushing the issue like that. So and it's kind of it just makes you think. Magneticus says Those were the mind control projects after Ultra. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Project, yeah, Stargate. Those are definitely connected. He says, "Teach me to make spoonbender remarks in a minute man silo." Yeah, but point is that what you're gonna see is the government is full of secrets, dude. Like they are full of secrets. So next time a skeptic has the nerve to say they can't keep a secret that's big, then I want you to point them to this video so that they can get an understanding of how secretive, and not just ours, governments across the globe, and some of them working in unison, working together, which we'll see in some of these coming up examples here. So the next one that we have, and this one was kind of disturbing. This is one I know everybody was familiar with this one, and we didn't know this was going on, and this was actually happening for a pretty long time as well. And this was the Project Echelon. So, actually, yeah, Project Echelon. So let me go ahead and go into that. Now, Echelon, which has been running technically since the 60s and is still running through present day, is essentially a global surveillance network operated by the intelligence agencies of the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and is designed to intercept and analyze communications. The existence of Echelon was first publicly disclosed in the late 1990s, so 30 years at least running before it was ended up being disclosed, and it was disclosed by investigative journalists and intelligence insiders. So Project Echelon, for example, this was, if you recall, back right when the Gulf War, not the Gulf War, but right after 9/11, when we had gone into Iraq, they were able to intercept calls from certain members of the Taliban, and this is how they did it. And obviously, the technology behind it is a secret, but it allowed them to be able to, with certain keywords that were being said in a conversation, it allowed them to tap into that or monitor that particular conversation. So they would actually, depending on the word that was used, they would pick up on a lot of the terrorist leaders and things that they were talking about as far as moving weapons. That's back when they were looking for weapons of mass destruction, if you recall. So, but it's still being used to this day. It was implemented in the 60s, and it's just another thing that they have that we didn't know about, that they were able to keep the secret for at least 30 years before, I think it was Colin Powell actually ended up giving a report, or actually what he did was played a phone call that had been intercepted from one of the terrorists. This is when they were just trying to rile up support for the war in Iraq. But with that being said, another secret, just a common theme here, right? So the next one that we have here is Project Aurora. Now this is just more of, you know what this is. This is a triangle shaped craft, potentially, supposedly, and this is just being worked on by one of the um, one of the contractors out there. But if it's a real thing, and I guess time will tell if this thing ever comes out, then when did this start? The rumor started on this back in the 80s. So we'll just say 80, right? So what is that, 20, 40, 44 years so far? If this thing turns out to be real, then it would be at least 44 years of a secret kept by the government, and just to show you, right? So we have Roswell, this what, 75, 80 years back. So this would be pretty close, to proving that a secret can be held for that long, right? So we're just really making a case here that secrets can be held by our governments. And let's see, Magneticus says, remember echelon being a bootable word in Microsoft networks. Um, why we call drugs Nacho Supreme with extra chives. And let's see, the machine thought we were just ordering Taco Bell. Yeah. So with that being said, we have this one was pretty. This one is pretty deep, man. When you think about this one here, so this is Operation Mockingbird. So Operation Mockingbird, which ran from the 50s to the 70s, looks like before it was exposed. So Operation Mockingbird was a CIA program that aimed to influence and manipulate media outlets and journalists to promote certain narratives and agendas. In the 1970s, investigative journalists, particularly Carl Bernstein of the Washington Post, revealed details about the CIA's covert influence on the media. This included the recruitment of journalists to write favorably about CIA activities. And so, this has been talked about today, right? That the CIA potentially is still doing this at this point and controlling some of the major outlets, right? That aren't reporting on UFOs. That they determine what type of news comes out and how America is portrayed globally through movies, articles, and it gets pretty deep, right? So if you if you think about it, this is a long list of nefarious sort of activity by governments worldwide. When you look at all this, and then you look at, let's do a list next to this of positive things that they've done for humanity and ways that they've helped us move things forward, and that's going to be a short list, especially when you compare it to this. If you had to say, okay, these are the things that they do versus these are the good things that they do, and you had to make a determination at the end of the day of what type of character, personality traits that these governments have, then I think, this is the picture that we're painting today. So, and it's kind of shocking. I mean, even right now, if we were to stop right now with all the nefarious activity and the secret keeping and the essentially lying in some cases, you would end up coming to the determination right now that, hey, maybe yeah, maybe they're not as straightforward as we think. And yes, they can keep secrets. So with that being said, I think that was the last one in the secret programs. And I had to cut this list too because there were so many other secret programs. But some it got into some political stuff, so I wanted to kind of keep some of the stronger ones. But the next section that we have here is continuity. Now this one is cold. This is the government, the continuity of government, right? So the government cares for the people, right? Government cares for their citizens. That's the message they portray. They would be transparent with you. They would never deceive you. They would never ever do it. So the continuity of government, these plans are strictly for the government. So in the event of some sort of calamity, whether it's World War III or whether it's some sort of game changing event that affects the globe, we'll say like asteroid, right? Asteroid impact would be a big one. Um, WW3, and I couldn't think of anything else. Or let's ET invasion, right? ET invasion. If they're malevolent and they come here and they're obviously more powerful than any of the governments on this globe, and they just decide to turn up the heat, this continuity of government plan goes into effect, and you're going to find out that you're not included in this plan. So, with that being said, we have a few places where they might go when this all goes down. So, we're going to look at Mount Weather. These places are potential or supposed to be classified. Some of them are just well known, but they have those blast doors on there, and they're gonna shut. They're gonna close those doors, and you're gonna be on the opposite side of those doors. So, first facility we're looking at is Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center. So, the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center is located in Virginia, is a highly secure and fortified underground facility. It serves as a continuity of operations site for various government agencies during national emergencies, including nuclear incidents or other catastrophic events. And the existence of Mount Weather as a government continuity facility was publicly acknowledged during the 1950s. Its role was confirmed through various declassified documents and limited official statements. However, specific operational details remain largely classified, which is understandable, it's pretty obvious, but they have another one, which is Raven Rock Mountain Complex, also known as Site R, is an underground military facility located in Pennsylvania. It serves as an alternate command center for the U.S. government, designed to facilitate continuity of government operations in the event of a major crisis or nuclear war. Raven Rock has been acknowledged for several decades as a critical component of the government's continuity of operations plan. However, specific details about its operations, capabilities, and internal layout remain classified. So just another place that's not for you and me, or pretty much anyone else that's outside of the government. Only select few are going to be able to go into these things. So this here's one of the most famous ones that got outed. This facility was built in the late 50s, then ended up being publicly disclosed in, I believe, the 90s. But this is the Greenbrier Hotel. It's a historic luxury resort in West Virginia. Contains a secret underground bunker designed to house members of Congress in the event of a nuclear attack. The bunker includes living quarters, a medical facility, and communication equipment. The existence of the bunker at the Greenbrier was publicly disclosed in 1992 when the Washington Post published an article about it. Prior to this, its existence was a closely guarded secret. The facility was built in the late 1950s and remained classified for decades. So decades sounds plural, sounds at least like 30 years, right? So 50s, so it's about 40 years. 40-year secret only uncovered by a reporter, and it was by chance, happenstance. People have been going to this hotel and this resort for years. They were walking right past. It was a false wall that people walk by all the time. And now that it's been uncovered, they show you, the blast door, and it was right there the whole time. People walking right back and forth, back and forth. And there's a secret facility right behind this false wall. Crazy. But they're doing this right in front of your face, and there's no room for you there. This isn't built for you. You know what I mean? So these are top secret, anti-humanity. All this stuff is anti-humanity. Every single thing that we've talked about so far is against, doesn't benefit you or I. and only benefits people on that side. So you got to ask yourself, man. I mean, this is not looking good, man. Well, you can tally up the score at the end, but it's really not looking good when it comes down to top secret government activities globally. And this is our version of this. There's this same version of continuity of government in every single major power around the globe. Every country has one. So we also have, and I didn't know about this one. And this one's actually pretty interesting. And this just goes to show. This was hidden in plain sight. Obviously, this one here, the Greenbrier Hotel, but so is this one. And this one is, let's see, this one's Peters Mountain Relay Facility. Let me check the chat real quick before I tell you about this one. Um, let's see. Yeah, okay. Why wireless energy didn't become popular until they figured out a tax meter for these wireless phones. Exactly. Government cares about those tax dollars. 19th Amendment made ethanol in motors illegal, says Magneticus. Derek Galloway, get ready. They're about to attack their globe again with bioweapons and catastrophic weather. Magneticus, now you can get a tax break for putting ethanol in gasoline in South America, then selling the mayonnaise fuel in North America. Derek Galloway, remember the movie Greenland with Gerard Butler? Ah, yes, pay attention, right. Magneticus, not another common cold crisis. Watch out, rhinovirus. Maggie M10, we're being told by the weather experts that this summer coming is the worst El Nino conditions ever predicted or seen. Yeah, and that's right, because you're in Australia, so you guys, your summer is in our winter. Wow. Magneticus, just remember the three pigs. People in government service like using bricks. And Derek, they have a great virus killer spray at Dollar Tree. It works excellent. Tell me what that is. I'm at Dollar Tree all the time. Got a 95% grain ethanol, been killing coronavirus since the 1920s. And Magneticus mayonnaise fuel is about water based fuel not mixing with oil based fuel. Okay. Check this out. So the Greenwood, what was it? The Greenbrier. So the Greenbrier Hotel, pup, just in plain sight, they actually built that while people were still attending the hotel. So they didn't shut it down or do any of that. They just told people they were building an additional wing, or they made some excuse. People bought that story, but they built that bunker right in front of their faces. Now this one tripped me out because I hadn't heard of this one. But this one, I'll just tell you what it is and kind of see if you notice something in the image here. But it's the Peters Mountain Communication Relay Facility. So the Peters Mountain Communication Relay Facility is located in West Virginia, serves as a key component to the government's communication infrastructure. It plays a crucial role in ensuring reliable communication during emergencies and national crises. The facility, known for its role in communication and continuity of government operations, has been acknowledged for several decades. However, specific operational details, including the technology and protocols used, remain classified. So, this thing right here, and the way that this is what they were doing, if you notice in the lower right corner, the logo there, right? This thing, well, you can't see my arrow, but you see a round sphere. So you know what brand that is, right? That's AT&T. So this thing fronts as like an AT&T relay communication center, but essentially it actually houses a top secret government facility, right? So they don't want you to know it's there. And you have to ask yourself, I mean, America being like the top country on the globe militarily, they're not going in these bunkers because of boots on the ground invasion and so what are they doing? They're doing it for only a couple reasons. That would be the reasons that we outlined before, and it's not essentially to not be affected by radiation or things like that. First and foremost, is probably designed to keep you out, to keep you out on the other side of that blast door, right? So I got to ask this question. We see all these facilities for continuity of government. Is that the only thing that's important? All right. And then where are the top secret humanity continuity facilities? For you and me, where are those at? Are there any? Are there anywhere that we would be able to go in a situation where they have to go to their bunkers? Is there anywhere that we get to go, or I'll let that marinate on you, and it's not looking good, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at I think we have this might be the last part of this, but we're gonna assess everything once we wrap this up. But this is continuity, which we just did. Now, top secret government cover ups. This is another piece of that puzzle. So, what do we have? We had the facilities, we had top secret programs, we had top secret continuity, government continuity centers, essentially. And then now we're going to look into top secret government cover ups. This is going to be where it really is, and when we'll put it all together in a minute here. But looking at that, we're gonna obviously, one of the biggest ones is Roswell, known cover up. We know they initially came out and said crash disk. Next day changed it to crash weather balloon, trying to keep it from the public, secret. Mike Jones, thanks for coming through. So, what the Roswell incident refers to an event in 1947 when reports emerged of a crash unidentified flying object near Roswell, New Mexico. Initial official statements attributed to a weather balloon. Over the years, declassified documents and witness testimonies have fueled the speculation about this incident. Some believe it was part of a classified government project, while others think definitely extraterrestrial. The Roswell event remains a central element in UFO lore, essentially. This is one of the biggest UFO cover-ups. This one here is the Watergate scandal. So, just another situation where they done things under the radar that we weren't ever supposed to know. And with the Watergate scandal, it was the obviously political crisis that emerged in the 1970s. It revolved around a break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C. Investigative journalism, particularly by reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein of the Washington Post. Again, the Washington Post was on fire, uncovering stuff, it looks like, played a pivotal role in uncovering the extent of covert activities within the Nixon administration. The scandal ultimately led to the resignation of President Richard Nixon in 1974. So, yeah, it does appear the Washington Post was on fire. I don't know what's going on with them today. I wish they would attack the UAP, UFO effort and investigate just as good as they were doing back then. But like I said, journalism has changed. Then it goes back into the Project Mockingbird again, where you have CIA out there trying to alter the narrative. So, Mike Jones, let's see. Oh, Bryson's Folly, thanks for coming. We'll call in, but I'm late catching up. Don't worry about it, man. Let's see. We're just really painting a picture on the top secret government, and it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good. And I want all skeptics to view this video when we're done and just see next time you even try to fix your mouth to say that the government could never hold a secret. They just wouldn't do that. Anybody who, I'll save it. I'll save it for later. So let me see. Mike Jones, how to explain Nazi UFOs 2, 3 years after they supposedly lost. Yeah, I'm going to probably do a show about that. No, I don't like putting spotlight on those guys, man. They were pretty horrible. So the Watergate was the CIA setup in coup against Nixon, who was digging into JFK, right? Nixon was roommates, a personal friend of JFK. Okay. Now, this next one here is sickening. This is actually sickening that they would do this. But if they had MK Ultra, look at what the government did. Secretly, didn't tell a soul until it was forced to come out. It's gonna blow your mind. The Tuskegee syphilis study. I'm gonna just let that sink in for a second. So, the Tuskegee syphilis study was a medical research study conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service between 1932 and 1972. 40 years essentially. 40 years. No one knew. Top secret. It involved withholding treatment for syphilis in African American men in Macon County, Alabama. The exposure of the Tuskegee syphilis study came to light in 1972 through the efforts of a courageous whistleblower, Peter Buxton, who leaked the information to the press. This revelation prompted widespread outrage and led to significant reforms in medical research ethics. Um, Amazing. Amazing. We the people. We the people. So anyone, and then and I know I keep saying this, but I just want the skeptics to understand, dude. Understand who you're dealing with, right? A lot of people live in their protected bubbles. Things are, their lives are okay. They're getting by. They may not have everything, but they, uh, you know, they trust and believe in everything that the government says. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't trust, and believe in your government, but at the same time, you have to realize who they are, right? They're not just our government here in America, but governments across the globe. They've all done things of this nature, you know, and on this scale, and have kept a secret. And these things, everything that we've covered so far, eventually came out. Some of them haven't, but in a lot of these cases, you see that something like an investigative journalist cracked the story, or a whistleblower finally came out. If neither one of those things happened in these cases, these would still be secrets to this day. And you can bet that. You can bet that everything we just looked at would still currently be a secret if we didn't have a whistleblower come out and say something, or an investigative journalist doing their job and getting the story out. So this applies to current day journalists and current day whistleblowers. It's history says that we need you guys to do your job. So if you're a journalist, we need you to get your boots on the ground and go out there. These facilities Grush is talking about, these are physical places. We need journalists at those fence lines. We need, you know what I mean? We need investigative journalists doing that type of work. And then whistleblowers. A lot of these whistleblowers, I don't know what the repercussions were for some of these people, if they got in trouble for outing some of this stuff. But the point is that throughout history, you see it takes someone to get out there and do it. So hopefully we get that in this situation. I think Grush currently is the closest thing we have to having someone from the inside doing exactly what some of these people have done. But we're going to go ahead and get into the last one real quick here. This one is still in the air, but it's been in the news recently, so I don't know if maybe we're at that point where this finally gets uncovered. But this one is going to be the JFK assassination. JFK assassination. So 1963, 60 years and going. This one is 60 years and going. So, we had the Secret Service person come out, I think within the last couple weeks, and talked about the bullet, the magic bullet, and I don't know how that's going to end up turning out. Maybe this is the beginning to that story finally having a close to it. But this story right here, obviously everyone should know about this. But the assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963, Dallas, Texas, remains one of the most studied and debated events in U.S. history. Kennedy was fatally shot while riding in a motorcade. Despite numerous investigations, the conspiracy theories persist regarding potential government involvement or cover up in the assassination. Various official and unofficial inquiries have been conducted over the years, each with its own conclusion and interpretations. These top secret government cover ups represent critical moments in history that have shaped public perception of government actions and trust in institutions. So the question would be, if these things can be covered up, wouldn't you think the ETs and the ET craft, the biological bodies, would be covered up too? That's the question. So at the end of all this, and if it comes out, obviously the government had any involvement in that. I don't know if they did. I'm not big into conspiracies, so depending on actually how it comes out, we'll see what happens. But if it's can you if you have to evaluate, so we're doing an evaluation now because that's the last category when it comes to top secret government. So we've covered cover ups. We covered the cover ups where they wouldn't have told you what happened unless the story came out or it was leaked. We proved that. We showed that. We have the government continuity, which shows that in every situation, it shows that if something hits the fan, then there's places for them to go, and it's funny because those things are built with our money, right? Our taxpayer dollars, and we don't even have a place to go for continuity, right? So, and then we had the top secret programs like the MK Ultras, where they're running tests in the Tuskegee, the syphilis study, where they're doing experiments directly on us, their citizens, right? Not looking good. And then obviously the top secret facilities, where once again our taxpayer money is going to do who knows what because it's classified and they won't tell us. So for you skeptics out there, take a look at this. This is a good one for you guys to look at, and maybe you'll have a different outlook on what the potential could be. Like, man, if you look at this, then hiding UFOs and what David Gress said doesn't sound too crazy. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, I know that that's what that is, but let me go ahead and check the chat. We lost Mike Jones. Mike Jones, thank you for coming through, though. I appreciate you. And let me go back. See, Maggie has some good stuff here. And yeah, Mike Jones. Those guys are scum, man. Don't even, yeah, they are. Maggie, seems to me it's also compartmentalized within the need to know structure. It really doesn't seem that hard to keep a secret. It isn't. People I don't know where they get that data from that secrets can't be held by the government. I don't know where the data comes from. Everything we just looked at says the total opposite of that. So Magneticus, to blame every German for what a few did sounds racist. Yeah, yeah, and we wouldn't be. So when we say that, we're not talking about Germans. I love Germans. I love people from all over the globe. I don't like Nazis. So if that's what you are, if that's what you identify with, then yeah, I'm not with that. But Germans are lovely people. So, and I don't think Germans identify themselves as Nazis actually. So, I think that's probably a pretty derogatory term to use with them. So, Mike Jones, don't you see anyone blamed on Germans? Is German blood himself? Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're two different things, man. At that Florida experiment at Avon Park, Magneticus, Karen at the Chumbucket gets upset if you're, yeah, yeah, it's not a good word, man. It's horrible. Later, Jones, Magneticus, death experiment was the punishment. 1990s, always remember the manual on how to safeguard secrets. Magneticus, when authorized by the president, an occupied building could be burnt to the ground in order to maintain national security. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, you have to look at this and see, like, dude, do they really have your best interests at heart? And that's kind of what, if they would, do they care enough about you not to lie? No, obviously. Are there many cases where they have kept the secret and could have kept it forever if a whistleblower, a journalist didn't intervene? Yeah, many cases as we see. So, like I said, make sure you show this to those skeptics out there who the first thing out their mouth is, "Oh, the government couldn't keep a secret." Show them this episode, and we'll think we'll change their mind on that. Now, with that being said, we're gonna go into our Once Upon a Time ufology, and we're gonna keep it themed with top secret and what we've been looking at today. So let me go ahead and get us into Once Upon a Time in Ufology. And it's going to be Area 51 exposed, right? So this, there was a point when Area 51 was obviously been there for a while, but was denied by the government of it even existing. And that's another thing. So something that we're seeing with our own eyes, they turn right around and say, no, it doesn't exist. No, yeah, I don't know what you're seeing. It doesn't exist. Think that's pretty crazy too. It just shows how do they think about you at the end of the day. So, Area 51, nestled in the Nevada desert, Area 51 looms as a quintessential emblem of covert government operations. This classified military stronghold has intrigued the public's imagination for decades. The revelation of Area 51's existence sparks discussions on transparency, national security, and the potential for encounters beyond our terrestrial realm. Since its inception in the 1950s, Area 51 has been shrouded in mystery. Its primary function was veiled in secrecy, giving rise to myriad speculations from the clandestine military endeavors to investigations into extraterrestrial phenomena. The steadfast denial of its presence by the government only fueled the public intrigue and spawned a tapestry of conspiracies, casting an aura of fascination around that facility. Area 51's connection to unidentified flying objects and extraterrestrial involvement contributed significantly to its mystique. A wealth of first-hand accounts, leaked documents, and insider testimonies alluded to the facility's role in the analysis and potential reverse engineering of unidentified area phenomenon, or UFOs. In the recent years, there have been a notable surge in the divulgence of information regarding Area 51. Declassified documents and statements from former government officials have affirmed its existence and its involvement in confidential military initiatives. The government's recognition of Area 51 marked a pivotal juncture in the history of the facility's secrecy. In 1989, Bob Lazar divulged details about Area 51 to the world, and in 2013, the U.S. government confirmed the facility's existence through declassified documents released by the Central Intelligence Agency. This declassification signified a significant shift in the government's approach to acknowledging the presence of Area 51. So that right there is another example. Area 51 was built in the 1950s. Bob Lazar comes out in 1989, so we'll say we'll give it 35 years. 35 years of its of his existence unknown, completely top secret. Bob Lazar comes out and says, "Hey, there's Area 51. I work there. They're reverse engineering ET craft and potentially I saw an alien body there." So people started going down to the fence line and going up on Tickaboo Peak and like Glenn Campbell and our good friend Jim Goodall, and taking pictures of the facility, like right there, sitting right in front of their face and taking pictures. And from 1989 all the way up to 2013, so there's like 24 more additional years, they just denied its existence still, even though you could see it. So pretty crazy that could even be a thing. So they can lie about something you can see. They're gonna lie about something you can't see. That's the top secret government, and unfortunately, that's the current world that we live in. So I don't know, man. I'll leave it up to you to see how you feel about that, how you think about that. But I think this doing this kind of painted that picture to show overall, as like I said, individually, if you just say, okay, they did this and then walk away, it doesn't seem that bad. But when you look at all the different cases and different situations and really think about what the outlook has to be to you know act in those ways towards the citizens, kind of shows you true colors. And I think that's what we got today. So, Magium 10, that was a great interview with Mr. Jim Goodall. I appreciate it. That guy is a legend, and I loved having him. We were here for 3 hours, and it seemed like no time at all. So I want to give him some room to breathe. Like I told him, we got to know him, and I just want to have fun with him on the next time I have him here. So we'll be doing that soon. Now, with that being said, we're going to jump out of, you guys know what time it is. We're going to jump out of science fiction to science, or Once Upon a Time ufology, jump into science fiction to science fact movie edition. And we're going to keep it themed with what we've been talking about today. So, the movie that we have today, not necessarily UFO related, but it is government related. And that movie is going to be Enemy of the State, which is a movie that I love. I mean, I remember when it first came out and the type of information that you were getting from that, just being surveilled by satellites, and kind of ties into, they were definitely doing that, Google Maps sort of thing. Street, we have Google Maps satellite. They were doing exactly what you saw in this movie way back then. And it was this movie that actually brought this to our attention. Like, hey, they can do that. They can just zoom in on you on the street anywhere that you're at. We had no clue prior to this movie. So when you look at this now with the new lens, it actually ages pretty well. I mean, and it's, when you look at this compared to current day, this kind of like foreshadowed a lot of stuff. It kind of makes you think if the director of this film had any insight on a lot of those things, if maybe this is a Mockingbird sort of situation where they're tipped off by the CIA or somebody from the inside that have the need to know. But definitely a great watch. If you haven't seen it in years, like me, I haven't seen it probably in at least 10 years. then I'm going to actually end up watching this weekend as well. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and take a look here. Magneticus, hopefully you can have him on again. Yeah, no, he's definitely down to come back. I don't know if you can see. Actually, let me grab this here. Awesome, awesome, awesome comparison. The top secret government. Mr. Jim Goodall sent me this beautiful, beautiful book. Beautiful book. And it is so. So that's the top secret government. You have to dig into the archives and pull something like that out, right? So I gotta get my camera went out. I have to do some little switcheroo. But yeah, I mean that's when you and the reason why we did that episode because there at the time there's a lot of people talking about these talking about the government can't keep a secret. No, oh no, this can't be real because this would have spilled out at some point in time. And that was just really just to show, like, look at all the secrets that the government has kept over time. They have kept so many different secrets over time, and just proven secrets that came out one way or the other. Some that still haven't come out to this day. And so, if you see that, how can you ever say that something like the presence of ETs or ET craft is something that they couldn't have kept secret that they're not currently keeping secret? You know what I mean? I mean, it just makes that statement sound so silly when people are like, "Oh, there's no way this could be true because the government could never keep a secret like that." They've kept secrets for different things for 40 years plus. There's current secrets that they're keeping outside of ETs on other things that have been going for 10, 20, 30. Come on, man. It's just a silly statement. It's a silly statement to assume that someone couldn't keep a secret, for any amount of time just because that's how you feel. I just feel like they couldn't keep a secret. Yeah, okay, well, here's proof. So, yeah, with that being said, that just goes into what's going on now because we know this is going to be one of those secrets added to the list that we knew they were keeping, that they're going to finally come out and say that they were, yeah, okay, we admit it. Or even with like the Project Aurora, right, which is supposed to be a top secret craft that they're rumored to have been working on for all these years. Some people don't think it exists. Some people say it does. Some people say they've caught pictures of it, and then it just is another something added to the list. It's a history of just secrets. You know what I mean? At least for the last 100 years, probably longer than that. So that's where it gets into you have to paint the picture for some because you can't just sometimes use words for some people. You have to paint the picture like, let me visually show you, okay? Because just us sitting here saying, yeah, they could keep a secret. No, they couldn't keep a secret. Yes, they could. Doing that back and forth sometimes doesn't go anywhere. No one leaves with any enlightenment in that situation. It's just a back and forth on what people believe. But it's like, hey, look at some real examples. Let's look at some evidence. Let's look at some things that really show whether or not the government can actually keep a secret or not. And then you really finally realize, okay, well, no, they can't. Or they can't. Or yes, they can keep a secret because they've been doing it in all these different scenarios. And not only that, but some of those examples, like exposing your citizens to things like syphilis and just crazy things like that, right? Who does that, right? It's proven. We do it. America does or has done it in the past. And who's to say what people are being subjected to right now? That's really the whole point of it all. And when you start seeing those examples and realizing, wow, that happened. Oh, wow, okay. Then it should hopefully, if you have an open mind, start you know turning your perspective or what, like looking at what's going on around you again. Like, hey, wait a minute. Like, okay, a lot of weird. Okay, they're subjecting us to this. Oh, radiation. Oh, this new technology. A lot of people say 5G. I don't know about all that, but just I would probably say just cellular waves. Period. Right. Just cell phones in general. Like, do we? I don't know if we know. I don't think we have enough generations that have passed to know if what Wi-Fi does to you. You know what I mean, or what holding the cell phone next to your head for all this time does to you. I don't think we know that yet. Truthfully, that's one of the things I thought about and looked at. It was like, all these radio waves that we have around us. Like, if you could visually see the radio waves and things that are around us, there wouldn't be anywhere to walk. You would be completely surrounded. Everywhere you looked, there would be some sort of signal, or you know what I mean? What is that at the end? And it could be harmless. It could just be, just like they say, it's harmless. It's not enough radiation to do anything to you. And so that's what they say. And it could be the truth. But, sometimes you don't find out until it's too late, right? On situations like that. What is it cool to hold a cell phone next to your brain all the time? You know what I mean? Is it really safe to do that? I don't know. I can't say either way. But it's just an example of things that we may be subjected to, and really not having the idea of what's going on until later on. But then you find out at the end of the day that a certain group of people did know potentially what the risks were, and they just didn't say anything about it. They kept it a secret. And that's really what it all boils down to is, do you do you believe that your government could keep a secret from you? And I think the answer is overwhelmingly yes. And I don't think there's really any argument, about. I don't think there's really anything else you could say about that. So hopefully cell phones are as harmless as they say, and we don't ever have to get confronted 20, 30 years down the line when we found out that they actually weren't that safe, and kind of go from there. Hate to think about it, but then when you look at examples like we just showed, like with government, and syphilis and all these other programs that they exposed people to while they were testing it, in the background, they knew potentially, and the Manhattan Project, the testing of nuclear weapons out in the Nevada desert, they had soldiers just sitting there, not really protected from anything. You go back and watch all those old videos, and those soldiers are walking into the field right after the explosions, and they had their situations where they had soldiers cleaning up. There's an island, I can't remember where it's at, but there's an island where what are these, the Bikini Atoll, the Bikini Island. It's a chain of islands where they were testing nuclear weapons, where they had the ships out there, like dummy ships, old ships, and they'd set off the nuclear explosion and to see how it would affect the ships. So they had that going on, and they took that nuclear waste and they buried it on an island that's still contaminated to this day. It has a large dome on it, and I think the dome is made out of concrete. And if you were to penetrate that, you'd be immediately subjected to all sorts of plutonium, and just it wouldn't end well. And they actually had soldiers working to put that stuff in that hole unprotected, right? Then you go to it was Bikini Islands, Lex. Then you had just other examples like um gosh, I get the two mixed up. The Rendlesham Forest. I think it was Rendlesham Forest, where God, I can't recall his name. Where the gentleman walked away. Oh man, it was the two guys. It's crazy. I can't remember. But they walked away with medical conditions. The government knew what happened, and they just kind of denied it and said it didn't happen. Man, I should know the name. I should know his name, but I can't recall it right now. Okay, but just making the point that, there's just, you never know what you're being subjected to until it's too late, and then they'll even deny it in the face of your suffering. You know what I mean? That they ever knew what was going on. You could even go to the yeah, it was Pendleton. It was the two guys. I forgot their names. I know somebody. Yes, Burroughs and Peniston. There we go. Yes, yes, Burroughs and Peniston. So, and then denied all the years, even though they clearly had these symptoms and these sicknesses, and they had the event, the exposure, and they just denied it, denied they were even at these facilities for some time. And I mean, that's when you think about it, man. It's a crazy, scary situation because this is the government that you think protects you, and you if you're just a normal citizen walking around, you think you're just so protected, and you're gonna be safe, but you could literally be being tested on right now, and you would have no idea until it was too late. And then when confronted with the data, the government would lie to you and say that wasn't the case, or if they did, they would maybe settle out with you for a few $1,000s or something crazy. Just too many examples of it over time, over history. And it's just like some people look through rose colored glasses at, the situation that we're in, and just like our government would never. Like, dude, do you really understand your government? Do you really understand like what your government is capable of doing? Because if you don't, let me show you. Let me show you. And it's mind blowing if you sit and think about it, man. I know when I did that episode and I was putting that stuff together, I was like, dang, dude, wow. And then just that thought process of the continuity of government, right? The continuity of government. Like if a nuclear attack were to happen, they go straight to the bunkers. If an asteroid were to hit that didn't wipe us all out, they go straight to the bunkers. Any sort of situation where humanity needs to be able to survive on the other side of the incident or whatever the calamity, there's never is not a plan for any of you or me to have continuity of humanity or continuity of civilization. It's continuity of government, and we're paying for it. It's just mind blowing, and it doesn't hit you because we're not in that situation. But if that day were to come tomorrow, and they lock them doors on you, and you're on the outside, they're on the inside, it's gonna be no love lost at all. They're gonna be like, sorry, can't let you in, sorry. And it's like the ultimate fu in that situation. You know what I mean? But you just have to be able to know ahead of time that that would be the situation, that would be the scenario, because then it's like, well, what am I doing? Why am I supporting that? Why am I like this has to change? The way this is set up has to change. Because yeah, if taxpayers are paying money to the government, yeah, instead of building a bunker under the Greenbrier, you need to be building bunkers across the country for the citizens, at the very least. I'm sure everybody would agree with that. You know what I mean? Not just somewhere for you to go, you and your family, as the government, excuse me, because the government has to continue on the other side. That's how crazy is that? Why does the government have to continue on the other side of that? That just doesn't make sense to me. So when you draw that line and you say it's either us or you guys, and it's us, we have to, as the government, we have to be the ones to make it, to still run the country while everyone else kind of suffers. That's a horrible scenario, and I hope it never happens because it has to get real bad for that to ever come to light or for that to be a reality. But dude, it's the plan. It's the contingency plan, it's the continuity plan, and it's the reason why those facilities are dug out and built all across the country, because that is the plan. So sad, sad stuff, man. But you got to realize what the real is on that. It's the truth, and it's, man. Sometimes it sounds hard to say, and like I said, that's one of those episodes right there where sometimes it gets too real. The conversation is almost too real to have because no one wants to think about that. No one wants to think about that ever happening or being the case, but you just have to understand. You need to know, regardless how bad the information is, you should know the truth. You know what I mean? You should know what the reality is. It's not like it's misinformation or someone's just saying something. It's the truth. It's literally what would be the case if something ever happened. And it's just like, you just have to think about how do you feel about, how does that make you feel personally? If you're on the outside with your family and you want to get in and they're not letting you in, I'd be pissed, man. I'd be pretty pissed. Yeah, that's why that episode is called The Top Secret Government, man, because, you know, man, it goes real deep, man, and it could be, it kind of hurts your feelings, right? It's like, wow, like, dang. Like, I knew they did some messed up stuff, or I knew they, didn't really care about the little people, because that's what a lot of people say, and it's kind of shown in some of the laws that are passed and things of that nature, things that don't get approved, and so you kind of look at it like, man, that's messed up. That doesn't benefit us, and you don't really think anything past that. But it's like, look at the big goal, like, what I mean, when it comes down to life or death, and it's about them or us, it's gonna be them. It is gonna be them, and man, it's just very troubling. But yeah, that's just one of the tough conversations we have here. We've had others, we've had other really deep conversations here at the Social Dig, like the intergalactic capitalism that I know Maggie remembers, and countless other ones, man, where you have to look at it, and you just have to be willing to leave your mind open and kind of just go through the process, and kind of just, it's just, it's that no sugar coated sort of conversation. It's like, okay, here's the real facts, and you should know the real facts. You know what I mean? It's not like you shouldn't know. You should know, and it's just like that really tough conversation that a lot of people don't like to have. Some people do, though. Some people appreciate those type of talks, and I just think if this is a real world that we live in, and there's real consequences to things that we either do or don't do, that you should be open to the real conversation, and the real information is just, do with that what you will, but at the very least you should be open to that, being told the truth. Just like right now in disclosure, right? That's the perfect scenario, because the government's like, oh well, we don't want to tell them everything because it could change, it could shock everyone, it could shake up the world, and everything could go. And we're on the disclosure side. We're like, well, we want to know. Regardless on what the truth is, we want to know the truth. It's no different than that. You know what I mean? These conversations that we have, it's all about furthering your knowledge as a human being, and giving you the power to think for yourself and make your own critical decision with the information that you're provided. So not just giving you tidbits and bits and pieces, but just telling you like it is, and then allowing you to process the information. And that's kind of what we're asking for in this disclosure situation, is just give us all the data, tell us why they're here, what they're doing. We like, okay, it might be bad. The story could be they're here to harvest the elderly, or and they're here. It could be really really bad, but we still want to know. We want to know the full truth. We want to know every aspect of it. And hey, we just have to be able to process that information. You know what I mean? So that's what we do. That's what we do here. That's why sometimes it can get really, really, really real here. And, like I've said before, I don't apologize for that because I think everyone should have the right to know all the information at any given time. If it pertains to you, if it affects you, if it affects the people you love, if it affects, how life goes going forward. Like if those things are like number one things on a lot of people's list. And if it matters to you, I think you should know. Period. You know, sometimes if you don't like bad news or you don't like to hear news that could be sometimes depressing, really. I mean, if you think about it. But hey, how can you affect change, or how can you try to plan for the worst if the worst were to ever happen if you didn't have that information? Just think about going into a situation where you didn't know that the government is going to close the doors on you if there was a huge, calamity. Imagine if you had no clue that that would happen, and then the day comes and you find out that day that you and your family can't get in. It's better to at least know that ahead of time. So you're like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is go into these cave systems then, okay? So as soon as something like that hits, I'm going to go in one of these extensive cave systems, and I'm just going to have to ride it out there. And that might be the story for a lot of people, but at least you will be able to have your own sort of plan. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have all the information, how can you make a plan? You just can't. So that's what it's all about. That's what it's about. Yeah, Lex, maybe the Earth is just where aliens farm people for some horrible reason. Yeah, we could have fun with that. I mean, we could talk about both sides of it truthfully, because anything's possible, truthfully. In my eyes, anything's possible. I don't fall on, there's a lot of people, and I know you've heard from them, who have a stance one way or the other on the real reason why they're here and what they're doing here. And some people's like, oh, if they would have done this. That's another just. I don't like that comment. I don't like when people say, oh, they've been here thousands of years. If they wanted to do anything to us, they would have cooked us by now. They would have. That doesn't mean that. That's not necessarily the truth. You know what I mean? But then even the flip side, I couldn't just listen to someone that just believes, period, that no, they're here to actually destroy us and take, like, what evidence do we have of either thing? I don't think we have evidence of either thing, but I think that both things could be possible. So you should be open to both sides of the conversation. You should be able to listen to, and I've done a show about that too. What a benevolent situation would be if they were just here to be friendly. Like, how would that look? And like, what steps will we take as humanity? Embracing a first contact with the civilization that was really here to help us and was here to enlighten us. So we've looked at that whole scenario. And then we've also, total opposite of that, looked at a scenario where first contact, these things aren't here for our best interest. They're actually here to do really bad things, or we find out that they've been doing bad things, and this is how it's going to be going forward. So it's just healthy to talk about both sides of it, because if you only talk about one side of it, then you're not prepared for the other side of it, if it were to ever come to pass. And literally, that's kind of where we're at in this whole scenario. I don't think there's any one person that could sit here and speak to you and tell you how this is going to go because I don't think anyone knows. You know, okay, you may have experiencers that have had contact with a certain race. Maybe this race has told them that, but who's to say that race is telling the truth? That's kind of what we get back to. How do you know that what you're being told is the truth? How do you know that the message that you're receiving is the true message? How do you know that? How do you know that there isn't deception in play when it comes down to receiving messages from ETs? Because some people just like, hey, I believe them. I believe what they're telling me. They're telling me to hear for this, and I just believe them. I'm like, how could you? Like, what basis do you have to simply believe what you're being told? Like, how can you? What facts do you use, or what data or evidence do you use to kind of corroborate or back up that tale? You know what I mean? Like, okay, you were told that, but then how did you cross reference what you were told to make it up in your mind that that was true what you were told? So it's not even going to the point of are people even talking to ETs? It's like, well, what were you told, and why does it mean it was the truth? Let me look here. Um, okay. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I hope so too, Van Gold. You ever pray that all my loved ones will be safe from these horrendous sicknesses because biological is the warfare. Yeah, it can get crazy and tricky, and believe me, last thing to worry about is if you're safe or not. We're just numbers, man. We come and go, and believe me, uh, it gets deep. That's a real deep conversation. Let's see. Let's see. I really hope not. But Tucker Carlson said there's something very dark to this UFO thing. Yeah, I think there could be. Not exclusively, but I think there's potential. I think we can all agree that there's definitely different species, right? So, what are the odds? Just let's do odds. What are the odds that if there's multiple species, that every species is here for good? Or on the flip side, using odds, what are the odds that all these species are here to do bad? Odds are is that there's probably some that are here for both, for one or the other. I think that's what the odds say. That's what common sense tells you, and that's why I go back to common sense. Um, yeah, and I didn't see Tucker say that. I would like to see that episode really where he's saying that, but I think it's interesting, and I think it's you know, if you're protecting people's feelings, then maybe you want to make them believe that things are gonna just be okay. But I think if you do that, if you're doing it solely to protect feelings, then you are leaving that person susceptible to going through something that would be pretty traumatic. Based on not giving them the facts. You know, they find out, okay, I've been lied to this whole time. You said they were good. These things are horrible. So Laverne says, it's that way for me, Rob G. My husband's past, having top secret clearance and above top secret clearance is not relevant now. I do appreciate everything you covered tonight. Yeah, no problem at all. So like I say, it's real conversation. Sometimes it's just some people don't want to have the conversation. They tune out. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I don't want to hear this. But you should. You should be open to all parts of the conversation. Whether we sit here for an hour and talk about how great things are, or we talk about the bad side of it, because it's just, as long as there aren't any lies being told, as long as there aren't any assumptions being made, right? As long as we can talk and then refer to facts, like in this presentation, weren't just saying things, we're showing examples of things that we know that were actually true and actually happened. And unfortunately, it sometimes it paints either a good picture or a bad picture. And in this case, it just showed, using facts, no assumptions, no conspiracy theories. These are all things that have been proven and we know are true. So Maggie M10 says, Social Dig, Mr. Rob G, what's the one thing people could do to help progress humanity, in your opinion? Oh, God, that's a good question, really, Maggie, because I try to do this every day, and I don't even know the path, right? I don't even know. Like, the only thing would really be that catastrophic disclosure situation where, which is why I'm trying to do this whole CE5 thing that we talked about, and trying to organize just something that would usher in disclosure quickly, because I think that bringing in disclosure quickly and allowing everyone to see at one time, as a whole group, as humanity as a whole group, to see that this is the reality, I think that puts humanity in the best position to process the information. And we may need to help each other in that, because some people may not take it as well. So we need to help those people that aren't taking it as well. And we need to come to that collective conclusion as a whole that, yeah, this is real. And then start figuring out as a group what we want to do going forward. Do we want to continue with the same model that we're in right now financially? Do we want to continue with the same power structure that we have? Because with this power structure, all we're seeing is wars. I think most people would probably say no. And if we were making these decisions as a group, as humanity, then I think that sets up the path for us to move forward and progress positively. I think that is the path. That's the reason why, you know, the slow drip disclosure doesn't work, because it does not allow it kind of, it's like a barrier to humanity being able to move forward, because you're going to keep the same powers in play. You're going to keep the same uh, structure that we currently have, that is currently not allowing us to progress. So why would that be the path that we want to take? Why would we want to keep the same powers that are doing the same things, fighting wars and spending our money and building nuclear weapons? And like, how could we be able to do both? Have a positive path to move forward as humanity, and then also keep the same structure in play. I don't think you can do both. So that's why I fall back on the catastrophic disclosure, because I think it's the only thing that is going to allow humanity to wake up at the same time, everyone, by having an event where either ETs are landing on somebody's lawn, or they just show up in the sky and just sit there for days and days in one spot for everyone to see, where it's immediately realized that for everyone on this planet that we're not alone, and then we can get together as a group and talk about what the steps are going forward. And I can guarantee you, if we sat down as humanity and said, okay, here's a checklist. Here, going forward, we need to create a new structure. We need to think about what we're going to do, or what we're going to continue to do going forward. Okay, nuclear war. Do we want that going forward? And I think it's going to be a unanimous no. Okay, next item. Do we want countries fighting against each other and killing innocent people going forward? I think the answer is going to be no. So there's going to be a lot of things on that list that humanity as a whole gets to check off and say, no, we don't want this going forward. We want to go forward without these things. And then, so how do we do that? And I think that's where that whole process comes, and that's where it's starting with what we're doing now. Like this is like what we're doing here is like on a very small level, that same thing that I'm talking about. Like we're hashing this out right here as us, and not the whole group of humanity, but we're like doing the same thing with the conversations that we have, and like how is the best way that we can move, and that's kind of what we're doing here. So just think of doing this on a larger scale, that involves every single member of humanity having a conversation, like everyone comes to the social dig, the whole humanity, everybody. We all come into the lobby and we all sit here and we hash it out like we're doing now. It's exactly the plan that we should have going forward. So that's why I vote for catastrophic disclosure, because, like I was talking to Victor earlier, and I told him my example of controlled disclosure is the government slow dripping this and spreading this out long enough over a long enough period of time where in the end it works out for them to be able to stay in power while they still provide some level of disclosure. And that's just can't be the plan. That just can't be. So if you have a choice between that route or catastrophic, there's really only one route to go. And that's catastrophic disclosure. And that's everybody being awakened at the same time, so we could all sit down together and have these conversations, because this is the path. Doing this as a whole is going to be the way that we progress humanity. So hope I answered that question for you, Maggie. Went kind of deep, but I think it needed to be kind of done that way. Let me see here. Okay. Decipher Rhyme. The only serious study was conducted by Dr. Edgar Mitchell, Sixth Man on the Moon. It was the free survey on extraterrestrial contact. Excuse me. Decipher, you talking about, I don't know if I'm familiar with this free survey, and maybe I need to look into this here. I wish you could expound on that. You were part of that survey. So I don't know if you within the text or if you want to come on and talk about it, but if you could kind of explain what that was. Yeah, and this is another one, Lex. Yeah, this is how you get catastrophic disclosure. It just has to be something that instantly tells everyone at one moment that this is true. And it could happen this way. Lex Diaz says we just need some whistleblower to literally steal proof and just blow it all wide open at their expense. But Gress says he's not there to go to jail. And I agree, because here's the thing. And I know a lot of people be like, oh, you're just saying that. If here's it literally, and I'm really feel this way, because if you look through history, sometimes, and a lot of times actually, there was a single solitary person who had to give themselves up on the behalf of everyone else. I could literally point to you times in history where this happened, but I don't want to get too political with it. But I think you could probably think of some examples also where there was a single person who either lost their life or went to jail, and it was for the greater good of millions of other people. One person. So I personally, in the way that I feel about this progression of humanity, like these aren't just words. This is literally like something that I'm emotionally connected to, and something that I hope that I affect at the end of the day whenever this is all over with. So if I were, and I'm saying this because I really feel in my heart that this is a true statement, that I feel that if I was in a position to be a whistleblower, and I knew that the information that I had would be the information to push this over the line without a doubt, no going back, that this is it. Once I do this, there's no way that this could ever be covered up again. It's immediately done. There's no questioning the information I'm about to give you, then I would do it. Now, here's the flip side to that, right? Flip side to that is if I do that and if I'm under NDA, then I go to jail. But I would have it in my heart, I would feel that humanity wouldn't allow me to go to jail. Like humanity would sit up there at the jail every single day until they decided to release me. And that's how I would do for someone who took that stance right now. Someone who was within the government who said, you know what, I have the keys to this whole, I'm not disclosing any government information. I'm not discovering any, disclosing any top secret government classified information. I'm only giving information that has to do with extraterrestrials because the government doesn't own those, and this is something that affects humanity. I'm behind that person 100%. If that person comes out and puts themselves on the line and because of that breaks their NDA, but they've literally brought the proof to the table that we needed, I'm up there every day until that person is released. Until that person, and I think there's a lot of people out there that would feel the same way. I'm not when I say that, I'm not saying come out and give government secrets. Never. I would never say that because I'm not anti-government and I don't want to know the government secrets. I don't want to know anything that I shouldn't know, right? I only want the information that they shouldn't be holding, which is the fact that extraterrestrials are here and the fact that they are coming here on a regular basis. Okay, that's something that should not be classified. That's something that should be told. So if a person came out, gave that information and only that, and didn't give anything else up, and they were violated for their non-disclosure agreement and put in jail, I would be there every day trying to make sure that person got out, along with, I'm sure, a lot of other people. So yeah, I'm hoping somebody that is on that side of the conversation is thinking that way. Like, hey, if I do this, I know the people are going to be behind me and I'm just going to do it. I know I might have to sacrifice, a year or so of my life until that gets all worked out, until, the scales tip and they have to just let me go. I'm just really hoping there is a person in there that's willing to do that, because that would be, they would go down as, historically as an icon, as a, and do, like, that would be huge. And that might be what we need from the government. And I'm open to it. Please do it. Please do it. I'll be there day one. They lock you up, I'm there day one. You know what I mean? With support. Like I said, we don't need to know any government information. All we need is the ET information. That should be okay to give and not be violated on an NDA because you did that. That just says something about the people who violated, who sent the person to jail. Like, why would you do that? So that, maybe that's a conversation that comes to fruition at some point. And somebody steps out and does that, man, because it's possible. Even like I said before, the government is a machine as a whole, but you do have individual people in there that may have some sort of compassion for the rest of humanity, and that's not too far off to think of maybe that happens one day. Let's see, Van Gold. More than sounding true in the mind, being more clear there, it lands in my intuition zone like a stone in my stomach for a second. Being poetic, huh? I mean, I'm feeling it though. Let's see. Permanent detention does get threatened. Decipher was a part of that survey. Magnum 10, that would be a massive sacrifice to do that. Huge. It would be huge. And it would be, it has to be on that person's heart to do it. It can't just be someone else making the decision for that person to do so. Like, hey, you better do it. It needs to be that person having compassion enough for, not just the rest of humanity, but their own family line, their own bloodline. Like, and that's how I look at it. Like, think about your family, think about the people down the line. You know, your relatives, your descendants, your grandchildren, great grandchildren. These are people directly related to you that will be affected by you coming with the information or not. You know what I mean? You know how this system is, and the thing I point out is, you know, the people that hold these NDAs are protected by politics and being inside the government. But who's to say your great grandchild would ever want to do politics and wouldn't just live life as a regular citizen? Because if your grandchildren live life as regular citizens, then they don't get the protections that you get being on the inside, on this side of the government. So if you have any heart for those down the line, then you're going to think about, okay, how do I leave this world for my grandchildren? And if you consider that they may never step into politics and they may just live life as normal citizens, then you would hopefully want to leave them in the best possible position that you could, which would mean that you probably would need to come out with that information. So you leave this, you know, you give your descendants a chance to be born into a world that's kind of enlightened. You know what I mean? And it one day it's gonna happen. There's gonna be a generation of kids that are born that are fully under this new, era of enlightenment. You know, post disclosures. There's gonna be a time. There's gonna be that first generation that is born, you know, in that new light, in that new moment. And I hope I'm alive to see it, but maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, Maggie. I mean, this is true. The way some people, a lot of people behave, I can't see someone actively giving up their life to pay for the truth. Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: you have to be there. Like I say, there's examples. There's examples. I can give you examples, but I don't want to make it a, it could get real sticky because the examples I give, some people may not agree with the person that did it, and it kind of gets sticky when you do that. But if you look into history, you will see a person that gave up their life for the greater good, not just their life, sometimes their freedom, for what's right, to take a stand for a cause, right? That by them taking that stand ended up making it to where a whole group of people after them didn't have to go through what it was that person took the stand for. Here in America, there's a million examples of that. You know, when you go through slavery, you go through the whole civil rights movement, there were certain single individuals that put themselves on the line for the greater good of everyone else that was going through these sort of situations. And sometimes you are just born to be that person. You know what I mean? It was like your destiny to be the person that took that sacrifice. So a conscious thought process probably isn't there when when it comes down to something like that. You have to just know that was your path to do so. You know what I mean? I think it's more of a. I don't think it's more of a conscious. Well, let me think about it. Let me really. I don't know if it's really like a conscious thing like that. Even though it could be. You know, if you had compassion, and knowing that what you're being locked up for is really something that you shouldn't be locked up for, and by it, by that thought process, it's technically something that shouldn't be lawful, right? That you're being locked up for. And you have whistleblowers that have done that, and they leave the country, right? They come out and they do stuff. Look at Snowden, right? Snowden, I don't know what he did as a whole. I'm not vouching for this guy or in any way in saying that what he did was right, because I don't even know the full details of what this guy did. But I know that there were some things that came out of that were actually positive things that people should know as a whole, like that we were being monitored and listened to, and we had no clue of this, and all of our phone calls were being recorded. Then, Like, I think that one thing was something that was very important for people to know. And who was ever going to let you know that? Who was ever going to tell you that you were being recorded every single call in a database somewhere being stored away? Who was ever going to let you know that? It was never going to be a person, but a person decided to do it one day. You know what I mean? And there are definitely cases in history where people have done that. Um, and for something as big as the biggest moment in the history of humanity, a moment that could, someone who understands that this moment can affect the actual path of humanity, someone who understands that might be willing to take a risk like that. Like, hey, at the end of the day, I'll go down as the, the person that did it. You know what I mean? And for my future legacy to be proud of for, years and years and centuries to come. It gets that deep. So okay, Lex Diaz said, let me see. Van Gogh says some species might be similar to humans. We can determine by that similarity what the possibility of them and us also having the same rate of uh, psychopathy. I'm not, am I saying that right? Okay. Lex Diaz, Tucker Carlson said that on the Redacted show. Okay, I'm going to have to check that out. I don't think I've seen that one. Van Gogh, but I think the types like us are probably still different enough. We should listen to their story. Yeah, we should be open to all that. My opinion, it seems like it's, Maggie says, in my opinion, it's just seems like it's a game and it's rigged. Yeah, I mean the game is that they're putting things, barriers up that shouldn't be barriers. There shouldn't be an NDA on telling something that there shouldn't be an NDA on. That's the game. The game is that I'm gonna make you sign this overarching NDA, and it covers things that shouldn't be secret. That's the game. That is the game. And then here we go. Here's the distraction, right? Van Gogh, North Korea saying they're going to test some nukes next week. That's always the thing that they try to use to get us off the conversation. There's always something like, that type of rhetoric that comes up before, while we're in the middle of trying to kind of move forward. Yeah, let me see. Magneticus making directed energy weapons over there. I don't know if you want to say that online, Magneticus. You know who will be at that door. Okay. I can see an old Aussie movie called. Let's see. Yeah, this is the thing. They don't just threaten you, they threaten you with those you love, which is a horrible tactic. But yeah, I mean, it ends up being true. And in a lot of those cases, too, where, people had to stand up for that cause, whatever it was, yeah, that sometimes ends up being the case. But you have to, in our history, there's only certain things you can do to move the needle. Otherwise, you sit in the same situation and nothing changes because you've built up a power that is so powerful that you know just words and just thoughts don't move the needle. Like and unfortunately, it's something we've allowed to a monster that we've allowed to be created, and there's only so many ways that you can affect change or get change. It really is. I mean, there really aren't any other options, and that's kind of what the sad part of it is. It's like that you would even have to go to a level like that because you really don't have options to do anything otherwise. How else can you go against any world power and get change? Do you think they're just going to listen to you as you walk in the building because you have a concern? No, we've talked to our governments about concerns for many years. How many of those concerns have been listened to, validated, and then change been affected from those? None. Very little to none, right? So unfortunately, sometimes you have to I mean, it's sad. It's really sad that that would be the state, but sometimes it has to happen because they're the only rules are their rules, and either you play by them or you don't play by them. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, how do you go against that? Just like a bully. It's like a bully that you can't beat up, right? This bully is just bullying you every day. You can't beat this bully up. You can't beat him up with your fists, right? You can't call him names because that doesn't work. How do you get through your life, you know, having to live with to live with the bully? Like, how do you get through your life? Like, what decisions do you make? How do you deal with that bully? What do you do? And that's kind of what it is. Otherwise, you allow this bully to control your life. Yeah, I am 20 minutes, but yeah, because I've been rambling, man. So now I'm almost up to date. 'Cause I'm seeing all type of old stuff here. Okay, I am up to date now. Yeah, I don't know. This is a good question, but I'm sure they did something. But this is a. I'm glad you brought this up, Lex. Right? Any idea what was done to Grush to show him they can touch him and his wife at any time? He said they came home and saw something very disturbing. If you see him at his house, yeah, on the Jesse Michaels. Yeah, and I think he said it also on Joe Rogan too. He kind of talked about that, and he didn't really say what it was because he didn't want. He said that it was just something really to let him know that they could be touched, but it wasn't anything actually done to him. So maybe they just pulled up on the side of him on the road and kind of just let him know that, hey, we're right here, or something without going over the line is essentially what happened. He didn't go into details, but that's the same thing, right? Grush, and it's just on a lower level. Okay, Grush came out. He didn't break an NDA to come out and say what he said, but he still came out and said things that they didn't want him to say. And then because of that, because he took that stand, he says in an interview, I came out and said this because I wouldn't feel right not saying this. I couldn't be 60 years old and look back and say I could have said something and I didn't say anything. And this is what I'm talking about on a lower level. He felt the compassion and made the decision to do what he did, knowing that there were going to be repercussions, and he didn't have to go to jail for it, but he's in like a mental jail because he has to look around all the time. And same thing with the Bob Lazar, right? So, he's getting threatened to be run off the road and buried in the desert somewhere and all sorts of things like that. But the thing is that you can't not, if you care about humanity, you can't not, if you have something that solely affects humanity that doesn't violate, the terms you have with the government, then you need to come out and say something. And it's a perfect example that you put up, Lex, because that kind of makes my point, but on a lower level, you know. Now, what would fully make my point is if Grush, and he's supposed to come out and say something else, right? Something new. That's the news. I don't know what that is, but what if he came out and said the things that weren't approved by DOPS? What if he came out and, all the stuff he says, I can't really tell you that. I can't elaborate on that. Now, what if he came out and said that stuff? Okay? What if that was the move and he knew, okay, I might have to go to jail for this? Like, hey, anything's possible. But yeah, these whistleblowers essentially are doing exactly what I'm saying, but they're just not releasing all the information that's protected by NDA. So they're already kind of doing this, you know what I mean? But we need the person to take it that step further and say the stuff that's protected by NDA. That's what we need. You know what I mean? Let's see. He can't reveal what happened because of his whistleblower complaint with the inspector general. It's an ongoing investigation. Someday he may let it be known. Yeah, I mean, think about this. When a lot of people, there are a lot of people, I'll say that, and we can give some examples on their deathbed, right? Deathbed confessions. That's a big thing where you have people who've been sworn to NDA who sit on their deathbed and tell it all and say, okay, this is what happened. And there's a couple people that come to mind when we talk about that. Um, they kind of just release all the secrets. Like they know they're about to pass on. And so here it is. Let me tell you exactly what happened. This is what happened. This is what they didn't want you to know. This is X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? It's like doing the same thing that the person could have taken that to the grave, but decided it was information that was valuable to humanity that potentially could move the needle. So there's examples of this happening out there. You know what I mean? And it's just we need the person with the right information to come out and do that. We just do. And yeah, I mean, that's just the truth. So that's just the truth. So anybody have input on any of that? What do you think? I mean, what's the best way going forward, right? So this is the place where we just brainstorm and kind of just, bump ideas off of each other. So it's like where do you stand on it? Where do you for control? Let's take it back to that. Where do you control disclosure or are you catastrophic disclosure? What do you want to see? What would you rather see? Yeah, stay informed. I'm with you on that, LVL. I'm with you on that. And let me actually, I need to fix my camera real quick. Share the knowledge. That's what I'm talking about. I need to fix my camera real quick, so I'm going to, some people, you guys have seen this, but I'm going to show my sighting again, my UFO sighting. So for those who haven't seen, actually, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show the extraterrestrial. Now this was my first video, and this was proof. This is what I labeled it as proof the extraterrestrials walk the earth, right? So this video to me shows that there is proof that this video has never been debunked, and this is an extraterrestrial walking the earth. So you guys go ahead and take a look at this. Let me get it queued up. All right, so let me see here. This is literally, I think, episode one on the social dig, and it was showing this alien in a driveway. Never has been debunked. Everyone agrees, even skeptics agree that this is an actual thing in this video. They just have an explanation for it. They say it's not an alien, it's a kid. Okay, this is up to you. You guys make the decision. I'm going to show it to you while I fix my camera here. And let's go. James Fox, director of hit documentaries like Out of the Blue, The Phenomenon, and most recently a documentary entitled Moment of Contact, is the telling of a story of a UFO sighting, crash, and subsequent capture of extraterrestrial beings in Virginia, Brazil in 1996. The three young ladies who found the extraterrestrial were within 8 feet of this being prior to it being captured. Here's an artist's recreation of what that being was purported to look like. Now, without spoiling the story, it's assumed that these beings, which there was more than one, were the ones occupying the crash craft and found themselves trying to navigate to safety and rendezvous with their own craft that was later to be determined to be on a search and rescue mission, as reported by residents of Virginia, Brazil. Now, you also have the infamous incidents described by the school children who were featured in the documentaries entitled Westall 66 and also Aerial Phenomenon, which we'll be doing a separate show on soon. Now, these children in both cases describe seeing the craft in the sky that lands in broad daylight. And also in both cases, extraterrestrial beings are seen coming out of the craft and trying to engage with these kids. And only what can be described as some form of telepathy, as some of these children are reported to leave with messages from these beings. And now, who could forget about the infamous Lonnie Zamora case where he notes in his own words that also in broad daylight, he investigates a noise that he thinks could be an explosion, only to be led down a New Mexico desert road where he encounters an egg-shaped or propane-shaped or cough cough tic-tac-shaped craft with two beings stand beside it. He says one of them turned his head, looked him directly in the eyes, then turned away, got in the craft lifted up, and then shot off into the sky. Now, obviously, there are other encounters, but these four are some of the most credible proof that there are not only beings visiting our airspace and our oceans, but they're actually exiting these crafts and in different scenarios walking foot on surface of our planet. Now, what does this mean for you? That means the reality needs to set in on exactly what's going on, as most people who haven't come to the realization that the phenomenon is real simply keep themselves in their bubble, performing their normal daily tasks, going to work, coming home, feeding the dog, do it all over again, rinse and repeat. And even with all the evidence being as strong as it is in these four cases, some people just need more. And that's usually in the form of a CE3 or CE4 event for those who may not know, are close encounters of the third kind, which is seeing the being who occupied the craft, or a CE4 or close encounter of the fourth kind, where you may have been abducted by a being and taken aboard one of the ships. And the other form of proof is video evidence. But then you say, wait, Mr. Rob G, if there's a video of beings, then where is it? Why isn't it public knowledge? That's when I referred to a video from June 2019 that was claimed to be debunked, but what I really question is why it has been debunked. When I tell you the reason and you see the video for yourself, you too just might see things a little different.
Camera. A Colorado family caught something very strange on their home surveillance camera. Can you figure out what that is? The figure that looks like out of this world walking down the driveway. As Courtney Fromm reports, the family is still trying to figure out what they saw.
Here, let's watch that again. Still aren't sure what it is? Well, neither is Vivian Gomez, the homeowner whose security camera caught this out-of-the-world moment on tape.
And we just kind of looked at each other, and he said, "What is that?" I said, "I don't know." And we watched it probably 10 times and tried to figure out what it was.
In just a week of the video being posted online, it's received over 14 million views.
It's very overwhelming.
Vivian says people have messaged her saying it's a prank, others saying maybe aliens.
It's possible that aliens could be alive, no one knows.
And others hoping it's their favorite movie character.
I thought it was Dobby from Harry Potter because I watched the Harry Potter movies with my sister. And so, yeah, it freaks me out.
But either way, Vivian and her son Bobby agree they are just as unsure as everybody else.
I'm still on the fence about it. Sometimes I really look at it and I think maybe it's what I initially thought it was. Other times I think...
Which is an alien.
Right.
Okay.
Other times I think maybe someone is playing a prank.
I didn't know what it was. It could be anything, so...
Okay, we're going to get into the second, then the third video here, which is just basically different angles of this being.
And she's really freaked out.
It's something you don't see every day.
This is the driveway in Colorado Springs where Vivian Gomez says the strange figure was recorded frolicking in the dead of night.
He opened the door because from the cameras, you can see a shadow on the fence. Then he stopped at the front of the car and did a little dance. My camera only goes for 10 seconds, so it just cut off at that point.
Social media is going nuts. Some say it looks like an alien or an elf, like Dobby from the Harry Potter movies.
Such an honor it is.
Others have a more down-to-earth explanation. It's a skinny kid doing the chicken dance wearing underwear on his head. And guess what? Vivian has a 9-year-old son named Bobby.
Could it be your son Bobby just goofing around?
No, I wouldn't let him out at dark by himself.
What's Bobby like? Is he a goofy kid? Does he like dancing around?
He likes to play around and joke around, and he loves to dance.
Does he like to dance with his underwear on his head?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
So if it's not Bobby, then who is it?
I saw it and I was like, is that an alien?
Kelsey Eddy lives next door. She says there are no other kids in the neighborhood who fit the description.
I've never seen something like that in my life before. It just freaked me out a little bit.
Concerned citizens are flooding the local radio station.
I'm honestly just kind
No,
of
it's not
scared.
the kid,
We need to
Lex.
start an alliance.
Vivian Gomez thinks whoever
It is not
or
the kid.
whatever it was ran off into the field across the street. Who knows? Maybe he's still out there.
Look at the legs. Too skinny to be a human.
It's the creepy video that freaked everyone out.
I'm honestly just kind of scared.
The creature was captured back in June on a motion sensor
know a
camera
human
outside a
that
home
skinny?
in La Junta, Colorado. Definitely not human, wrote one mystified observer. Lots of people think it looked like Dobby, the beloved elf from the Harry Potter movies.
Bobby is free.
Another theory? It's a skinny kid wearing underwear on his head.
It's a little creepy to be in the driveway after watching this video. We're here right now.
Vivian Gomez owns the house where the video was shot. And this is Bobby, her 9-year-old son. He's about the same height as the creature in the video. So, could
Not nearly
Bobby
as skinny.
be Dobby?
Bobby, was that you in the video?
No,
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Definitely.
He has an alibi, his mom. They say they were inside the house watching TV when the creature chicken danced down the driveway at 9 p.m. at night. Still, I was skeptical.
You sure you don't dance with underwear on your head down the driveway at night?
I'm sure.
Our number one suspect is pointing the finger at his friend Montana, the proverbial girl next door.
She does it better.
No way it was me, says Montana.
Who do you think it is?
Bobby with underwear on his head.
You think it's Bobby?
There's only one way to settle this.
I have some underwear to put on your head. Shall we?
Sure.
All right, let's see it.
Here's Bobby doing the chicken dance on a night vision camera.
Look at the
And
distance
here he is,
between
side by
the
side
thigh
with the
bone
creature.
and the knee, and then the knee, and then the foot. And then look how long the foot is. These are definitely not proportionate to any sort of human being. So there's never been a question on if the video was fake or real. They've always said it was real. However, they just determined that it was a kid with underwear on his head. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. So now, after watching these videos, what conclusion have you come to? Are there extraterrestrial beings walking amongst us, getting out of their craft, enjoying what we do here on Earth? Tell us what you think in the comments. All right, guys. Okay, so that is not a kid. That is not a kid. I've done other videos on this too, and that is not a child. As I showed in that first episode, it's not proportionate to that child. The limbs were way too skinny for that to be the little boy. The little boy's legs were way thicker than whatever that was. If you looked at the distance between the knee and the foot, And then if you looked at how the hand hung below the crotch, standing straight up, is not a child. It's not a human. So the whole thing is that was a lot of people looked at it and they tried to say it was the kid with underwear on his head. This thing they showed was one uniform color from head to toe. So unless this kid had on a full, well, first of all, didn't eat in months, then had a full bodysuit, a head to toe bodysuit, which I think his mother would know if he owned or not. And if the mother knows what her child looks like, you could, if you saw your child on a video camera, and it was kind of blurry, but you would know your child on a video camera. First off, let's just start there. So a mother knows their child, and if the mother is saying that this is not her child, I'm already on board with her right there. A mother would know her child, period. She's seen her child on many videotapes. She knows her child's mannerisms. She knows the type of clothing that her child has access to. So I think right there, before we even get into the other weird parts about it, I think you could pretty much say that at the very least it's not her child. Now, if you want to say it's a child, then we can go down that road. Now, a child isn't going to be, there isn't a child that I've seen that isn't a skeleton that is that skinny. Period. There just isn't. And show me a full body suit that a child has that covers head to toe, one uniform color from head to toe. That was just a Ring camera that took that video. So the Ring camera, you could see the car, you have different tones and different things that stand out. There's no way that this, if this is a child, would show a uniform color from head to toe unless that was its actual skin tone from head to toe, or if it was wearing something from head to toe that represented one color from head to toe. Just doesn't make sense. Let's use your common sense here. And I think just your common sense should lead you to a situation where you're like, nah, that's not a kid. Can't be a kid. So no, Lavera, it wasn't. I'm friends with the mother on Facebook right now, and this was, if you look at that video, then you can see, and you might have to just look at it and freeze frame it. There's too many, if you go frame by frame of that video, first of all, its feet were sticking out like this in opposite directions, first off. And if you look at the way that it's walking, and if you catch a frame where it lifts its leg up off the ground, the leg is the size of a toothpick. The leg is the size of a toothpick. They had the frame side by side with the kid walking down and then the thing walking down next to it. They don't even look the same. They don't even look the same side by side. So if it's the kid, it should really look like the thing in the video. They should look identical pretty much. If it's the kid, there's really no other way around that. They had the side by side. They should be identical matches if it is the kid. There's just too much evidence that says it isn't the kid. Too much evidence that says it isn't the kid. And see, the thing is that I think what happens in ufology, and there's other cases of this, just like my UFO sighting. So my UFO sighting, Mick West came in and said they were birds, but they clearly weren't birds. I videotaped them and I saw them with my own eyes fly right over my head. And I showed other examples on why they weren't birds. But in ufology, and this is people that should believe in understanding that these things are here, would look at it and write it off as something that it isn't. Like without looking further into it, just off of a first glance. Like I would, if you did an analysis on this video and then still came back to say, okay, it's a kid, then your analysis you would be able to show me why you thought it was a kid. So not just by seeing the video and then just making the determination that it's a kid, but showing the evidence on how you came to that conclusion, right? And I think that's kind of what we need to do more within ufology, is we need to do more examination of the evidence and then pointing out the things that lead you to that conclusion. And I'm open to hearing anyone present some evidence on that video that says it's a kid, instead of just saying it's the kid, because that doesn't really move the needle. Either way, it doesn't move the needle. But I've done an analysis on that video. I've done freeze frames on the video. I have a slideshow where I broke that video down into frames, single frames. And I could show you, and I just don't have them on hand. Maybe for the next show, I'll put them together. But I can show you individual frames of that video that you cannot say that it was a human. I have a one where the hand, where the fingertips of whatever it is almost hanging down to the knee. Now you show me a child that has arms that are long enough to hang down and then reach past their crotch almost to their knee. If you take it frame by frame, then this is the evidence that you'll see. And that's kind of what it is. So if you just watch a quick video and then just come to the determination that it's a kid, well, I would have to say that maybe that you haven't examined it enough to come to that conclusion. I would say maybe your first opinion on it may be that it's a kid, but I would challenge you to do more analysis. I would challenge you to do a deeper analysis of that video and then come back, because I think if you do, I think that you would come to the same conclusion that, wow, that at the very least, you may not say it's alien, but I think you would at the very least, after analyzing the frames of that video, frame by frame by frame, I think you would come to the determination that it isn't the kid, just first off, and maybe it's some other kid, but then I think you could take it even further than that with the frames that you get, the individual frames, to say that it's probably impossible that it could be any sort of human based on the proportions that you end up seeing in these frames. So obviously a video is a fast moving set of frames, but if you had that slowed down in slow motion at the very least, which would probably be the first thing I would do in analyzing that video, slow motion, and then next just taking the individual frames that make up the video and look at the different body placements that happen throughout that walk down the driveway. And I think you'll come to a determination after doing that analysis that what you're looking at can't be a kid. I think you'll come to at least that conclusion. So maybe not jumping all the way to it's an alien, but I think you would very, very pretty easily come to the conclusion that it's not a kid. And then it's not that kid, first of all, and then that it's not any kid based on what it is that you see evidence-wise, not just because I'm saying it, but because of what you would see in those frames. I've done the analysis. So I can tell you based off of what I've seen in the frames, and like I said, I'm going to take it a step further because I like to bring receipts. So I just showed this video to kind of fill time while I fix the camera. But I have the frames all broken down for you. So I'll do those steps for you on the next one and show you what it is that I see. And then just show me, just counter me on it. So when I show you the evidence, I want you to counter me and show me how it's a kid. Right? Because there's only a certain set of people that say it's a kid, and it's the people that say it isn't, that it's not a kid. So it's either you think it's a kid or you think it's not a kid. but I don't think you can do that just based off of watching the video alone. So we'll set that up because I want to make sure. I just want to make sure that, things, because I think it's a problem in ufology that things just get debunked so quickly. Things are just written off so quickly. And it's just like based off of your first glance, like no deeper dive into what it is that you're looking at, unless it's obvious. But I don't think that there's anything about that video that's obvious. I think it at least warrants a deeper look. Lavera, it's all good. I mean, right now we stand on both sides of it. And I will break it down. I want to do that for you. I want to do that because, and it's not to change anyone's mind, but it's like, hey, look at the actual evidence, and then let's make a determination at that point. After we've looked at the actual evidence, then let's, let it simmer and then kind of come back to it. So yeah, I got to write that down. I already have it all broken down. I just have to find the slides. Which is in my iPad somewhere, but we're going to do that. Yeah. So with that being said, let's see, we are coming up on hour 3, and that's about the time that we wrap it up. And I think it's a great way to do that, right? I think we got really deep. We kind of got deep tonight, and I think that was a good thing. I think the top secret government conversation is definitely something to, ponder and just to kind of wrap your mind around. It's kind of, like I said, it's sometimes the conversations are so deep and they're hard to have because we're looking at what the reality is, and sometimes it's just not a reality that you want to face. It's just not, you don't want to believe something is true when it's something that I don't even know what to say, when it's something that affects you directly. You know what I mean? When it's even though we're not in a situation currently, even though we are on the brink of truthfully being in a situation like that, whether it comes down to what we faced going through the pandemic a few years ago when people had to fight for, toilet paper and different things like that. Like, it was literally, society was crumbling all around you in your face overnight. And it just reminds you of the bubble that we live in, how quickly that this perceived protection and comfortability that you have can crumble right around you and disintegrate into nothing. And so it's never, and I used to watch Doomsday Preppers like 10 years ago when it was on Discovery. It was the big thing. And I used to look at some of these people like, these people look crazy. Like, what are they doing? Like, they're preparing for what? They're preparing for the collapse of the economic collapse. They're preparing for all these things that I thought were so far off. I'm like, these things, like, okay, these scenarios probably won't happen. I literally thought that. But then you see, different situations show you that this thing that you think is so solid around you can really disintegrate that fast. And it's like, well, okay, then that makes other conversations worth having, and the realism kind of kicks in on how things could really change. And so that's why I say, when you go to that top secret government conversation, you realize who's going to be on what side of what door in the event that something happens. It just is like, it just blows your mind, and something I hope no one has to ever deal with, but it's better that you have the information than not. Knowledge is power, and that's how we're going to roll with that. So with that being said, I definitely want to thank everybody for coming on out tonight. Like I said, I think we had a great conversation, and when we get this going, it's time to get it together and wrap it on up. So let me kind of go over again. I said this on After Hours, but I'm going to say it again. We have next weekend, we'll be doing shows from the Vault, Spaced Out Radio Vault, for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Okay. the after hour show here, I might do the Saturday one, but I know Sunday is going to be with family, so I definitely won't be doing Sunday, but I'm at least try to do Saturday, the live call in. So hit your notification bell so you're alerted if that goes live. And then also for anyone out there who hadn't participated in the chat today, if you were just watching, definitely thank you for coming by. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button. We have real conversations here all the time, and you know, we always try to have conversations that move the needle, and that's really what this is all about. You know, as Maggie points out, this is definitely what we do. We do this for the positive progression of humanity. That's why we talk all these long hours and have these serious conversations. You know, it's not just to blow hot air, it's to move a needle. And, you know, I talked just like we talked to Victor earlier, and I felt good about that conversation because I saw a lot of the same qualities in him in this conversation that he was having that I have in the overall outlook on some of the things that are wrong that we need to change in this society, and, you know, how humanity should come first. And I saw a lot of that. So, you know, and it makes me feel good when that happens, because then I know there's other people like me out there, you guys included, that feel the same way and feel that this should be the end goal. So that means if there's a lot more out there like that, then we can move this in the right direction. So with that being said, I just definitely want to thank you guys for coming over and having these conversations. Hopefully, you know, next time we get some of you guys to come on in and talk about this. We will be looking at the Dobby footage next week, so we can go ahead and just talk about that as a group. And yeah, definitely thank you, Lavera, for coming in. Fun late night, everyone. Thanks, Mods and the man Rob G. I'm so disappointed I couldn't get one trivia fast. It does so much fun. We do that all the time, Lavera, just so you know. That wasn't the first time, definitely won't be the last time. So we're gonna get that in. Like I said, positive progression in humanity. Go out and do something good. Put some good energy out there in the world, and it will come back to you. It's a proven thing. So, you know, just do something good. I want you guys to enjoy your holidays coming up. If you celebrate them, if you don't, still have a great week. And I will be seeing you all soon, sooner than you think. We will be raising the bar continuously. So thanks for coming. I'm your host, Mr. Rob G. You guys all take care. See you later.